What is going on, guys? It is Bucky and welcome to your 10th Objective-C tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to be talking a little more about data, and it won't be the most exciting tutorial, but this is definitely things you need to know, or else it's going to confuse the heck out of you whenever you start the program in the future. So the first thing we need for this little tester program is a couple variables. Let's go ahead and make three floats. Let's go ahead and make two actually. Let's name the first one F1 and set this equal to like 20.86. Pretty much set it to anything with a decimal point. And now go ahead and make another one, just name F2, and we won't set this equal to anything yet. After this, we need a couple integer variables. Just go ahead and put I1, and then go ahead and put I2 and set this equal to 15, and set one called I3 and set this equal to like 10. Alright, looks good. And now what we're going to be doing is converting one type to the other and stuff like that. Or assign it, actually. I shouldn't say convert. That's a little bit later. But the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is if you have this integer variable called I1 and you try to set it equal to F1, which would be 20.86, let's go ahead and take a quick look at what happens. ns log, what the, how the heck did it do that? Okay, ns log, don't do it again. There we go, listen to me, not bad. What happens when you do this is it gets something called truncated, and go ahead and press %I, and go ahead and press I1, and if you don't know what that means, you'll see in a second, as long as I don't get any errors. Oh, we're good for now. Alright, it says 20, but our float was actually 20 point, what was it, 86? So why did it output 20? Well, here's what happens. When you assign a float, which was F1, to an integer value, like I said, it gets truncated. And what this means is basically the decimal point gets chopped off. It doesn't care about it anymore. So it pretty much turns into an integer, cutting off the decimal point. So that's pretty interesting for now. So let's move on to the next topic. So if you ever built a program and this weird thing happened, that's what I did. Now I'm going to be talking about two more weird things, and we'll be getting in the fun stuff, but for now, I mean, this is just some rules that we have to follow. The second one, sorry, I got kennel cough. When two operands in an expression, what are pretty much the two numbers you divide by, are integers, the decimal point gets discarded even if you assign the answer to a float. So let's go ahead and show you that. If you take that float 2, which we didn't assign any value yet, and set it equal to I2 divided by I3, check it out. It should be 1.5, since 15 divided by 10 is 1.5, and our answer is a float, so I mean it should be good to go. But now let's go ahead and ns log this shiz right here, and copy, paste it, and put %f, of course, and put F2. And now let's go ahead and see what happens here. Build and run this, save all, succeeded. Now we see instead of 1.5, we get 1 right here. But hold on, Bucky, you just took 15 and divided it by 10. So why didn't we get 1.5 even though it's a float answer? Well, anytime you're dividing by two integers, not floats, it treats the expression entirely as an integer and just assigns it to a float value. So that's why if you come across this problem, that's what's happening. So what you usually need to do is turn one of the operands, pretty much one of the numbers, into a float. So let's go ahead and do this. Lastly, let's go ahead and take that F2, and we're going to make a float answer this time. Put F1, which is a float, we know F1 is a float, and divide by integer 2 or integer 3, doesn't matter, any integer. And now let's go ahead and print that out again. So copy, paste, I hate that it always does that. And let's go ahead, build and run, and now check it out. We now have a perfect float answer right here. So the three concepts I wanted to go over, whenever you take a float and assign it to an integer variable, the decimal points gets cut off. Number one weird thing. Number two thing I wanted to go over, whenever your two numbers you're dividing by are both integers, even though that the variable you're assigning it to may be a float, the decimal point's going to get thrown out and it's just going to be an even float, like 1.0, even though it should have been 1.5. That's the second thing. The third thing, anytime you want to make sure that your answer is a float, you have to have one of the numbers in your expression as a float. So we put the first operand, which is the numbers that we're dividing, as a float, and look at that, we got a perfect float answer. So now you should be able to work perfectly with floats and integers, and if you come across anything weird in your program and you can't figure out what's going on, this is probably the source of error. So that's all I got for you for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're going to be going over some pretty cool operators that you haven't seen before, and soon enough we're going to be getting to making your program a little bit smarter. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next tutorial.